Lowest price will give you the number that is currently the lowest on the buy box. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's winning the buy box because there could be a lower price that is not winning the buy box because it may be FBM or it could be used. But for whatever reason, this function will show you the lowest price inside that buy box. Before getting started with the extension, make sure that it's installed, that you've activated it with your subscription ID, and if it doesn't save for whatever reason, make sure you do it in incognito mode to bypass Google's cache. And secondly, verify that you've added your seller nickname into your Gorilla account. I'm not talking about your Amazon store nickname, but an actual, say, like a short form name or your seller ID so that it just makes it easier when you create your formulas. Now, the version that I like to use with lowest price is super simple. Gorilla underscore lowest price. As you go through the formula, it's going to highlight the sections. The first one that it's highlighting is seller ID. And in this case, in my case, it's going to be in cell A1 called test seller 2. You can manually type it in if you want inside quotation marks, but I like to keep everything dynamic. So I'm going to reference a cell instead. In the SKU or the ASIN, you can select one or a range. If you select a range, it's going to give you and dump out all of the lowest prices for each of those ASINs or the SKUs. These are the only required inputs, seller ID and your SKU or your ASIN. The others are all optional, so you can leave them blank or you can skip them if you want. If another format that you can use is if you want to look up all of the different prices on a single one, this is actually easier to show you as an example where I'm going to go into the formula, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to click or press comma to keep skipping on to the next one. If you're in Europe or if you're in a Spanish-speaking country, you want to use semicolon. But as I keep entering comma, you'll see that this keeps going and switching to the next filter. On the return style, this is what I want to show you where I'm going to, let me select just A2. I'm going to select a filter or a parameter called full width header like this. And what this will show you is for the ASIN A2, it's going to give me the lowest price or the prices for everything related to this ASIN. So you can see here there's two that are new for Amazon, there's two that are new for FBM, and it's going to give you the different prices for the listing price, the lowest price, etc. And this is the only time you would use a single input on the SKU or the ASIN instead of a range. Because if you try to do this and say a lot of people coming from Microsoft Excel background, they will do this. They'll do lowest price, select the seller name, and then they'll select this. They'll load this one single value, and then they will drag it all the way down. So if you have 1,000 or if you have a million SKUs, you're pretty much dragging it all the way down, and the equivalent is running the formula like 1,000 times or 1 million times, however many SKUs you have, right? So in this example already, I've already run the same formula 15 times when I could have just selected a range like this from A2 to A16, and this is the equivalent of just running one time. What this means is that it's going to be so much faster. It's not going to time out. Google isn't going to freak out and then crash on you. So every time you use a formula, make sure you use ranges, and that is the best practice. As you go through the formula, make sure you refer to the info box. We have descriptions and detailed explanations of how each one is used and what it's for, and you can just play around with it. You can also create the same formula using our static queries function. Go to the menu, go to our add-on, manage queries, and it will open up this sidebar. And from here, you will enter lowest price, and then fill out all of the fields to match the inputs and to match the data points that you want to pull in. So you can get as granular as you want, selecting a marketplace, selecting a different type of product condition, used, collectible, refurbished, new, etc. And you can keep drilling down and down and down to get as granular as you want. And the benefit of using the static formula is that it's not going to refresh constantly, because with these types of formulas, where you've actually got a live formula inside the spreadsheet, Google tends to refresh this quite often. It understands that it's a dynamic formula, so Google will go in and refresh it sometimes every 30 minutes, 1 hour, 20 minutes, etc. And it will use up a lot of your quota. Whereas using a static formula builder that we have here, it's not going to do that. Google doesn't consider this a formula, but rather it's embedded in on the back end. And so it's going to be much more stable. It's going to be much more static as well. So those are the two ways you can use it. And this is lowest price.